Also about Salome, which has nearly over 100 works dealing with John the Baptist and this really powerful, strong Salome projected in these images. You have so many women in the series of Apocalypse. You have Salome, you have the great whore, you have the Jezebel, you have all these representations and manifestations of women in the way that they're portrayed. So I want to know more about you and why you're so inspired by these women.
The female figures in several of the works in the different series that you have mentioned, they are based on subjects having Middle Eastern settings, such as Place des Martyrs, about the Beirutan women of El Burj, as well as the women in the Lebanon series, the Gulf War, and the Iraq War series. They depict scenes in which women are represented with Arab, Oriental, or Middle Eastern women and motif. But they are women, female figures, embodying a central and important presence and role in the imagery of each composition. The Apocalypse and Salome paintings are based on biblical subjects depicting Oriental or Middle Eastern themes in which the women are protagonists, playing significant and central roles.
There is a great parallel here between the two series, between the Apocalypse and between this Dance of Salome series, in terms of the role of women and the Oriental woman.
The work in both the Apocalypse and Salome series reveal many aspects and characteristics that in much respect are intricately related. In the fantastic visions of the book of Revelation, St. John admonishes Jezebel and her immoral ways, then proceeds to describe dual femininity, symbolizing on one side the heavenly mother as the immaculate woman represented by the shining sun, and on the other hand the earthly woman represented by the moon, which is under the domination and eclipsed by the sun. The heavenly woman flees from the seven-headed menacing red dragon and escapes him, whereas the earthly woman sits on a seven-headed scarlet beast, and she's clothed in purple and scarlet, filled with gold and precious stones, and she holds in her hand a cup full of abomination of her immoral behavior. She's the great harlot, representing, of course, Babylon the Great, who copulates with men and kings. This earthly prostitute is later destroyed by some kind of divine warrior. In the story of Salome, and particularly in Oscar Wilde's Salome, John the Baptist speaks almost with the same tone in admonishing and attacking Herodias, wife of King Herod and mother of Salome. She is described as a wicked woman who desires and lusts for sex, and having made love to young men and committed incest by marrying the brother of her husband, and so on. She is, in this case, the great whore, and so is her daughter, Princess Salome, whom John addresses as the daughter of adultery. When Salome appears early in the play, she descends from the white great, beautiful moon. She is flying in the sky. She's wearing a veil, which ironically is a symbol of virginity. But once on earth, she takes the whore side of femininity and goes after John, who rejects her and her advances. Then later, during the great banquet celebrating the birthday of the king, she accepts to dance, and she brings the 7 veils. Magic number 7 appears a lot in the Revelation, and here we have the 7 veils, which really has a form of striptease, in which she takes off one veil at a time as she dances until she is completely naked before the multitude of men, the king and everybody, all these officers watching her dance in the play. And in so many coincidences, descriptions, tones, symbols and metaphors, we find a lot of similarities between the two.
You call your series specifically The Dance of Salome. Not just Salome, but The Dance of Salome. So this is clearly what has inspired you and what you've chosen to portray in your work. And then you also have the woman of the Apocalypse, and the great whore, and the way that you represent her. And these two women together are there's a lot of Orientalism in this, with her veil and the way that she looks and the way that she's presented in your work.
The title La Danse de Salome reflects the depiction of Salome in the way she moves and dances in almost every single scene of every painting and drawing. Both these series, the Apocalypse and Salome, have a lot. Well, biblical and literary sources provide fascinating wealth of material. In working on these 2 series, Apocalypse and Salome, a whole world of ideas seem to open up a wide horizon of endless, interchangeable images that seem to float, move, expand, and then explode. They exploded on canvases, on paper, with a variety of forms and shapes in a continuous rhythm, running from one work to another, especially when we're talking about the dance. It's a continuous, it's almost musical in the rhythm and the way it's done, and it has a lot of intensity as well in terms of color, in terms of composition. Some of them are very large, and you sense this physicality, this confrontation, this in front of you, and in each series you have over 100 works, in which one scene occupied by certain figures is juxtaposed to another scene with different figures within the same theme. They form a chain that links the work together.